Today, we're in the kitchen talking what's for dinner. Hey guys, Kira here from 50 Shades of Mom, tips for all shades of mom life. And in today's video, I am back to share with you what's for dinner. So when I was putting this video together, I did find 3 or 4 dinner clips that I forgot to share with you guys last time. So I included those in today's video, and I think those are all the way back from June. And then the rest of the clips are, if you follow my grocery hauls and meal plans, are the meals that I've been talking about that we've been cooking over the past couple of weeks, and they are all absolutely delicious. Now, before we get down to the counter, I did just want to remind you guys to check the description box. Since I don't physically break down every recipe during these what's for dinner videos, down in that description box will be the links to get you everywhere you need to go for your step-by-step process to recreate this at home. So whether it's one of my cooking videos that's in my Cook With Me playlist, or a food hack video from the food hack playlist, or maybe it's just a link to Pinterest on where I got the recipe from. So everything will be down there in the description box for you, so you can go ahead and check those out when you're done watching this. But for now, let me take you down to the counter and we'll talk what's for dinner. All right, you guys, so the first recipe that we're starting off with was new to me, but may not be new to you guys if you have the cookbook that I wrote with the girls. So this was actually Nicole Burgess's recipe. She does not cook like this anymore. She actually just came out with a keto cookbook, but this is her chicken and dumplings. And boy, am I glad that she used to cook the way she did, because this was absolutely fantastic. And the best part, it was super easy. So our cookbook is always linked down below in the description box if you guys want to go ahead and check it out on Amazon. But the short version of this recipe is chicken breast in a crock pot with like onions and garlic and gravy and seasonings, and then you pretty much just go ahead and let it cook until the chicken becomes shreddable. And then in your last 30 minutes, you go ahead and chop up a bunch of refrigerated biscuits and you throw them on top, and then you just let them puff up into this most delicious dumpling. And I just loved the gravy that it made, because I love gravy over mashed potatoes. So I know it's kind of a double starch, but I just made mashed potatoes and I put a little bit on the bottom of the bowl, and then I ladled this chicken and dumplings over that mashed potatoes. And my goodness, for something so simple, it was packed with delicious flavor. That chicken gravy and the chicken was just so tender, and it was so good. And the dumplings are just light and fluffy, and they absorb all of that really delicious gravy. I really liked this recipe, and I am so sorry that it took as long as it did for me to go ahead and finally make it. Speaking, however, of keto recipes, and something that Nicole would approve of right now, is this is the bacon wrapped cheeseburger mini meatloafs that are in the Southern Keto Cookbook. Now, that recipe recommends that you make tinier versions of this inside of a little cupcake tray, and the serving size is 2 portions. But I just figured that I would double the recipe, I guess. And instead of doing it in a cupcake tin, I just made individual personal little mini meatloaves with the same concept in mind, and then everyone just got one instead. And you bacon wrap them, which was so phenomenal. And I liked doing it on a pan as opposed to a cupcake tin, so that that bacon can get more of a crispy flavor. But you can see the chopped pickles inside of it, and it had cheese. It was honestly one of the better recipes I've had out of the Southern Keto Cookbook. And if you guys like those kinds of recipes, you don't even have to be low carb. This cookbook is linked in my Amazon store because I highly recommend it. It's under kitchen tools, but since I was trying to do low carb, no side dish other than some tiny mozzarella balls, along with some lettuce and some heirloom tomatoes, drizzled with a little bit of that balsamic glaze from Trader Joe's. Oh my gosh, you guys, yum. Now, this isn't really a fancy dinner, but this is what I call garbage omelets. And I like to do this when I have a bunch of leftovers in the house, or I have a bunch of veggies that I want to use up, because I'll go ahead and get everything out. If we have leftover sandwich meat like ham or turkey, I'll get out peppers, onions, all different kinds of cheeses, and I go ahead and scramble like a dozen eggs, and then everybody will just come over and they'll bring their bowl, and then we'll ladle some of the egg mixture in there, and everybody will go along and just add to their bowl what kind of ingredients that they want inside of their omelet. And then once everyone has their bowl filled, I just go ahead and throw them in a buttered frying pan until we get a nice hearty omelet. I don't even serve bread or anything alongside of it. Sometimes we'll serve fresh fruit, but this was at the end towards a well-needed grocery haul, so we didn't have any fruit. But I highly recommend omelets if you ever have things in your house that you want to use up. So this is actually a replay clip. If you guys saw the video I put out a couple of days ago on 3 different ways to make onion rings, but this was me trying to recreate the way to make a Burger King onion ring. It did not come out exactly how I wanted it to. The flavor was there, the crisp was there, everything tasted like a Burger King onion ring. It smelled like that. My whole house smelled like Burger King, but it was way bigger than I thought that they were going to be. So since then, I have ordered something that's going to help solve that problem. So if you guys missed that video, go ahead and check it out. But I just served these onion rings alongside of a homemade cheeseburger, and I do mine bunless. So I'll just get a nice piece of romaine lettuce and I'll put my burger on top. This night we did stuffed burgers, so I threw in some crumbled bacon and some blue cheese. That's the way I tend to love it. And then I just seasoned it well with a little bit of salt and pepper. Believe it or not, your burgers don't need a whole lot of seasoning, you guys. Just a little bit of salt and pepper. And then some extra bacon on top, along with some more of those heirloom tomatoes, which I just happen to love. And this was a super delicious dinner. So you can tell that this was the next night because I have one of those last remaining onion rings on my plate, and there was a grocery haul. So we have some produce in the house, so I have some watermelon there. But this was actually a smothered pork chop recipe. This was the first time that I had ever cooked it, and I'll go ahead and leave the link for the Pinterest recipe down in the description box for you guys. It was really, really, really good. Just different. A lot of onions, which I happen to love. It was more like the French onion chicken without the melted cheese on top and with a pork chop instead of chicken. I really, really like this, but you definitely have to enjoy that onion flavor to enjoy this pork chop. But it was super, super tender. And then alongside of that, I served my buffalo potato skins. These are so delicious. They are loaded, so they have cheese and bacon, and I have a little bit of my homemade ranch drizzled on top of them with a few extra dots of buffalo sauce, and there's a little bit of ketchup behind it for that onion ring. You guys will see those potato skins in a future project, but oh my goodness, you guys, this dinner was so delicious and definitely a good combination of all of my favorite things. So this was a super simple night, and I love nights like this. So this particular night, I just made spaghetti and meat sauce. I had gotten a bagged Caesar salad and one of those tiny little Ellie's croissants from the Dollar Tree, and I put the Chef Chamois garlic butter on top, the one I get from Sam's Club, and I just put them in the oven for like 5 minutes, and it makes the most delicious garlic knots. Now, I'm not showing you guys exactly how I make my meat sauce, but I have an entire video on how I prepare it, so I'll link that up above and down below if you guys want to check it out. But like I said, I just always keep some of my sauce on hand, so I just threw that on top of some spaghetti with that salad and that garlic bread. But this is a house favorite as well as a super easy dinner, which is always a mom win. Now, this recipe is for my carb lovers. Forget any of those low carb recipes you saw before, because this, you guys, will physically blow your socks off. So I make my own Monte Cristos. I love them. I have a recipe video for that I'll link for you guys down below as well. But I tried something different in one of my food hacks. So I'll link my entire food hack playlist for you guys, as well as this specific video. But one of the breakfast hacks were to make French toast with a outside coating. So they had recommended you use Frosted Flakes, and then you guys recommended Captain Crunch, which was mind-blowing. And then we decided to try something completely different. So we did the French toast cinnamon toast crunch cereal. Now, all the times before I had only made French toast, but I used French toast to make my Monte Cristos, which is just ham and turkey and Swiss cheese inside of French toast, like grilled cheese. So I was like, why don't we elevate that French toast and do the crunchy kind with that Monte Cristo? Holy cow, you guys, the French toast crunch cereal gave the bread such a crunch, and then the warm turkey and ham and cheese inside. I use a little bit of maple mayo, which is just a tiny bit of maple syrup inside of some mayo stirred up, and it makes it super sweet. And I served it with the seasoned fries from Walmart. Holy cow, you guys, this was like a knock your socks off, absolutely amazing dinner. This, you guys, this is probably going to be the next big thing. Okay, we all love chicken marsala. If you like chicken marsala, I know I do. I say we all do because everyone should love chicken marsala. It is so, so good. I actually grew up, if I were to go to an Italian restaurant, I would choose veal marsala over chicken, but it's very, very hard to find veal in the South. I'm not really sure why. I had trouble finding it in South Carolina, and I'm having trouble finding it here in Texas. But usually when we make a chicken marsala, we'll serve it over pasta, but we were already having a pasta dish this week, so we served it over garlic bread. So we took the everything bread from Walmart and I open faced it and I put that Chef Chamois garlic butter on the inside, and then Paul went ahead and made the Marsala sauce and the chicken, and then we put the chicken and the Marsala sauce on the garlic bread, and then I covered it with mozzarella and put it in the oven, and it made this cheesy garlic bread with all the flavors of the Marsala and just a nice bite of the chicken. We didn't even do any sides with it, no salad, no nothing, because it was just so dynamite, just the way it is. I do have a cooking video for the chicken marsala, as well as that's a recipe that's also in my cookbook, so I'll link that video down below. But you guys, this is a new revolutionary way to eat chicken marsala, and I am all about it. So this was a really yummy, hearty meal, something I always think about for the upcoming fall season. I actually did not eat this for dinner. I remember eating this for lunch because I posted it on my Instagram, but these are my Swedish meatballs and I truly, truly love them. I have a recipe video for this as well, so I'll link it up above and down below. It's actually in with my Alfredo recipe, which is super, super good. And you guys are going to see that clip in the next What's for Dinner video because that's coming up on the menu really, really soon. So these Swedish meatballs are super, super easy, and I actually bake them in the oven. So it's pretty close to my regular meatball recipe, although I do add onion soup mix to the inside, and I roll them and I bake them in the oven. And then I usually make some kind of pasta noodle or rice on the side, again, because I love gravy ladled over things. And so I just made some buttered bow tie noodles and I put the gravy over that. And then I cut up some fresh carrots, and I always add a little bit of honey, butter, and brown sugar. And I make a really yummy, delicious glaze to go on top of them. These reheat so well. You can make the meatballs ahead of time and freeze them so you can use them for a quick meal. I usually just use Gravy Master, and I always store my meat water. So when you make a pot roast or something like that in the crock pot and you have that water inside, I usually just save that in the freezer for when I need to make a quick gravy. I'll defrost that and mix it with that McCormick brown gravy mix, and that goes perfectly with any of these kinds of dishes. So we made some of that and just put that over the noodles and the meatballs, and the carrots were so yummy. This was a good meal. So here's what I call compromise night. So on a night that I know I want to eat something that I shouldn't necessarily have, I'll couple it with a side dish that I know I don't like, so that I'll revert to salad or veggies with some kind of dressing as a side dish. So this, you guys, is the double crunchy honey garlic pork chop that I found that recipe on Pinterest. So I'll link it down below, but I actually combined two separate recipes. So the first time I used the sauce that they gave me in the recipe. The second time I used the orange glaze that I used in a pork chop oven recipe freezer meal that I did back in March. So I'll link all of that for you guys to see, but I just combined two recipes, that one that I found on Pinterest along with that one that I did a couple of months ago, and that orangey marmalade glaze over that pork chop is so dynamite, and it's double crunchy because you put it in flour twice before you fry it, and then you bake it in the oven to finish it off and cover it with this glaze. Holy cow, you guys. And these pork chops were from Sam's. Do you see the size of them? That is like a mondo pork chop. Plus we double crunched it. So you only need one of those. I barely finished it. And again, I used a salad on the side just to supplement because I made macaroni and cheese that night and I do not like macaroni and cheese. So that was my compromise. And I just put some peppers, broccoli, and cucumbers on a plate and covered it with that Keto Ladies blue cheese dressing. And this was another yummy dinner. So speaking of meat from Sam's, you guys, this is the first time that I've gotten a bunch of meat from Sam's Club, and this is a pot roast that I got from them. This was one of the best pot roasts I've ever had. Like everybody in my whole house, everybody was digging this pot roast. So I just put the pot roast in the crock pot with some celery, some onions, and some carrots to give it some really, really good flavor. And that is the kind of water that you want to save to make that absolutely phenomenal gravy. And this pot roast for 8 hours came out tender. I could barely pull it out without it all falling apart. I barely put any seasonings on there, just a little bit of salt and pepper plus those veggies in there. And then, like I said, I used the McCormick's kind of gravy mix to make a big, hearty, thick gravy. And we made mashed potatoes because, of course, gravy goes awesome over mashed potatoes. And I needed a little bit of sour cream on mine because I love sour cream on my mashed potatoes with a little bit of salt and pepper, and it mixed so well with that pot roast. And you guys, like, if you do have a Sam's Club, go and check out their meat products. This pot roast was literally outrageous, and it just went so well with everything. It truly gave me all the fall feels. You guys, I'm ready for fall. Last stop on our flavor train, you guys, but this one is definitely meant to be out there with a save the best for last. So we did a quesadilla bar this past week, and we put out some seasoned shrimp. So we just had some of that raw shrimp left over from Daryl's Food for Dudes, and we sauteed it in just a little bit of taco seasoning, and then we used some of that steak, again from Sam's Club, some of the best steak I have ever had. And then we had leftover chicken from Daryl's Food for Dudes when he made the barbecue stromboli. You guys have not seen that one just yet, but between the chicken, the steak, and the shrimp, let me tell you how that was the best damn quesadilla I have ever had in my entire life. Just a little bit of Mexican cheese and those three things inside with a little bit of sour cream and green onions. And then I still had a little bit of that shrimp and chicken and steak mixture in my bowl that didn't fit inside of the quesadilla because we used the low carb Mission ones and they're kind of small. So these are some of the late July chips that I just got from Thrive Market, and I put a little bit of that on the plate with some nacho cheese and some tomatoes, again green onions, and the rest of that toppings, the steak, the shrimp, the chicken. This blew away a restaurant, you guys. Like, I could eat that every single night. We love Tex-Mex in this house, and this was literally the epitome of all the flavors. If I were to go to Taco Bell or something, I would never get meat. I always get steak or chicken because I like those combinations inside of any kind of taco flavor, inside of a tortilla, on a chip. Add some sour cream and nacho cheese. I am in my glory. You guys, this one was so good, and if you've not ever tried steak and shrimp and chicken and all those things inside of a quesadilla, stop right now and go and do it. You won't be disappointed. All right, guys, so that's it for another What's for Dinner. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Again, don't forget to check that description box so you can have all the resources you need to recreate this yumminess at home. I love you guys all so much. Subscribe if you are new, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.